Let's talk quick hitches. Welcome back to GP Outdoors. So you're a new tractor owner. Tractor's on order or you've just got it recently. You're thinking about different attachments or implements for the rear end. And one of those, of course, is the consideration of whether or not you want to spend the money on a quick hitch. Or maybe you've had a tractor for a few years like myself and you have a number of implements and you've seen on YouTube and on different videos how easy and how quick a quick hitch can be. Well, if you haven't spent the money yet, I'd encourage you to watch this video before you pull the trigger. I'm going to try something a little different on this video. I'm actually going to give you my conclusions first, and then I'm going to spend the rest of the video explaining my rationale and how I came to those conclusions, especially for you folks that just want the bottom line. So here it is. Conclusion number one. If you're a new tractor owner and you have not yet started to buy implements or attachments, make sure that anything you buy for this 3-point hitch is quick hitch compatible. Not adaptable, compatible. There's a big difference. I'll explain it later in the video. Second scenario, if you're similar to myself where you've had the tractor for a period of time and you've already started to gather different types of implements or attachments for the rear end and you didn't make sure they were all compatible, you may not want to buy that quick hitch. And the last scenario, you've got a tractor, you've got a bunch of equipment and none of it is quick hitch compatible or quick hitch adaptable. Don't buy the quick hitch. If you're new to the channel, I'm not a tractor expert. I've had compact tractors now for just over 3 years. And I've been using a quick hitch now for about 2 of those years. What informs the video today? The experience that I have to date with a number of different implements as well as this quick hitch, and as well some research and some work I've done over the last few weeks to get me to my conclusions today. I've actually spent a considerable amount of time searching through the internet. I've spoken to 2 Coyote dealers, 2 Massey dealers, 2 Deere dealers, and 1 Kubota dealer, and I've also spoken with 3 different retail outlets or stores that sell tractor implements. The more I looked into this quick hitch, the more questions I had that I actually didn't have answers to, and sadly there's still one big question that remains that I still haven't found the answer to, but I'll tell you about it in the video. Let's go through a few things I think are important to understand. The first thing is quick hitch compatible versus quick hitch adaptable. I was confused a while back until I figured out the difference, and there's a big difference. When you purchase an implement or an attachment for your 3-point hitch, you're going to ask that dealer or that person selling it whether it's quick hitch compatible or not. Quick hitch compatible means that the dimensions or the placement of your lift pins and your upper control arm pin meet an exacting standard set by the ASAE, which I believe is the American Society of Agricultural Engineers. They set a lot of standards for a lot of things in the agricultural industry, including tractor and tractor related things. If you're purchasing something that is quick hitch compatible, that means the pin placements and that implement have been built such that they meet that exacting standards, those distances, the height of your upper control pin, etc. If you're buying a piece of equipment and they say, well, it's quick hitch adaptable, that opens up a big broad spectrum of the definition or interpretation of what is or isn't adaptable to a quick hitch. Because a standard quick hitch is exact. Those pin placements or those hooks for your lift pins and your upper control arm are in specific and exacting spots. So that could mean that the equipment doesn't exactly meet it. Maybe the upper control arm hook is higher than it should be or lower. Maybe your distance between your 2 lift pins are different. Maybe you have to flip your pins around in order to meet the standard. Very important that you understand the difference and that you make sure that if that piece of equipment is considered adaptable, that you're sure that it's actually going to be able to hook up to your quick hitch easily. If you've already started looking at quick hitches, you'll know that you can get a Category 1 quick hitch, which of course is what fits my compact tractor, Category 2, Category 3, etc. But another important thing to understand is that on the market you can purchase what's called a standard quick hitch, or you can purchase a non-standard quick hitch. The standard quick hitch is designed and meets the exact specifications, those ASAE standards. If you're purchasing a standard quick hitch, you'll find that these hooks down here that hook into your lower lift pins are actually much wider than in fact your Category 1 lift pins are. Your Category 1 lift pins are 7/8 of an inch. You're going to need bushing kits to fit them in order to fit snugly into this hook on either side. Okay, so what's a non-standard quick hitch? A non-standard quick hitch is one that you're going to find where these lower hooks are actually the same diameter as your Category 1 lift pins, 7/8. There's no requirement to buy bushing kits for all of your implements. It simply hooks on and meets it. If you haven't yet actually seen the difference or the different types of quick hitches, standard and non-standard, for reference, you can hop on the Land Pride site, Kubota's implement website, look up quick hitches, and you'll see that they have a number of different quick hitches, and you'll be able to see that some of them are standard, some of them are non-standard, meaning some of them need bushings because they meet the exact ASAE standard, and some of them are built such that it takes the standard Cat 1 pin in the bottom hooks. So why does an ASAE standard quick hitch require that you buy bushing kits for your Cat 1 pins? I still cannot find an exact answer to it, but based on all the things that I have found on the net, as well as talking to dealers, it seems to me that at some point in the past, there may or may not have been a standard, and some of these Cat 1 pins were of different sizes. And I guess to make a standard, you need to make sure you account for all of them. It's the only reason I can possibly think of. So why do you want to buy a quick hitch? The key word there is quick. What you're looking for is this piece of equipment to make hooking up and unhooking your implements much faster and much easier. And when you have quick hitch compatible equipment, it does, and it works great. It's a lot easier to be able to back up into a piece of equipment, lift, and drive away. However, when you have a number of different pieces of equipment like I do that I've gained over several years, and some are compatible, some are adaptable, and some are not adaptable, the intent or the benefit of having the quick hitch starts to diminish quite a bit, because now you're taking that quick hitch on and off your tractor constantly, depending on which piece of equipment you want to pick up. And you can't necessarily easily adapt all of them, especially if you're the owner of pieces of equipment or implements that are many, many years old or decades old that you've had on the farm or on the property that are not at all adaptable or compatible. So with a number of different pieces of equipment, some adaptable, some compatible, and some that are just so simple to hook up, it doesn't make sense to take the time to put the quick hitch on the back of the tractor first. The quick in quick hitch starts to become less and less meaningful. For example, I have one piece of equipment that's adapted, but because of the distance of the triangle between the two lift pins and the upper control arm pin, every time I hook it up, I have to undo these two bolts here, raise this upper hook up, bolt them back again, then pick up that piece of equipment. I go out and use it. When I come back, before I can use another piece of equipment, I have to unbolt it, drop this hook back down again, tighten it in order to pick up the next one. Now you might think, maybe go to Princess Auto, pick up some pins with some R pins or whatever, it's a little bit easier, but it's still work. And at the end of the day, if I'm gonna have to fiddle around on the 3-point hitch, whether it's moving this bracket and backing in and backing out, and then moving it again before I pick up another piece of equipment, in some cases, it's just as quick to hook the implement right up to the 3-point hitch. And in my case, one of my attachments is actually simpler to hook up, in all fairness, than it is to try to put on a quick hitch. My finish mower, my FDR 1660, is on wheels. And in fact, as you know, the hinges are articulating. So it's just as easy for me to back up to it and wheel it around and slip my pins in really quick and hook up. And of course, furthering that challenge, I've now taken all of my equipment that I can and I've fitted them with bushings. Hammered in the roll pins, they're in there permanent, short of me taking them all off. So now if my neighbor wants to borrow a piece of equipment, he also has to take the quick hitch. He borrows the equipment, takes my quick hitch. I come up, I start to go to do work, and I realize I can't pick up an implement because I don't have my quick hitch with me. So now you're in a position where, do you both buy a quick hitch and spend twice as much money? Or perhaps I'm now starting to see that benefit of why people are starting to buy non-standard quick hitches, which will fit your 7/8 lift pins perfectly. No bushings required. So let's take a minute and talk about cost. Anything I referenced today is in Canadian dollars, and it's out of the research I did here in Ontario, Canada. A standard quick hitch is going to run you anywhere between $350 and $500 generally. That's kind of the price range I found. In addition to that, as you know, you have to buy bushing kits for each of your implements or attachments. The bushing kits will run you anywhere between $38 and $50. And there are two different types of bushing kits, depending on whether you have Cat 1 pins or you have a Cat 1 bracket on that piece of equipment. Conversely, if you buy a non-standard quick hitch, As an example, you can buy one from Kubota for $600. No bushings required. It fits your Cat 1 7/8 lower lift pins. No need to change over any of your equipment. And of course, it doesn't impede your ability to use it between neighbors either. And one other cost that people sometimes don't consider is that if you have implements that are PTO driven, you're going to need to remeasure those PTO shafts, because when you add a quick hitch, you've now extended the distance between your rear tractor's PTO and the splines on that equipment by another 4 to 6 inches, which means you have to make sure that those telescoping shafts still maintain at least that 1/3 overlap as required by the standard. When you do get that quick hitch, you want to make sure that you're always trying to leave your implements somewhere reasonably close to level, both back to front as well as side to side. Because remember, the quick hitch is a stationary, kind of static piece of equipment back here on the 3-point. It doesn't flex or bend or twist. So as you back into your implement, if the implement is not reasonably level, you're going to find the quick hitch doesn't work. You'll start to lift and it'll grab 1 or 2 of these pins, but it'll miss the second or the third one, which is often in the videos why you'll see sometimes I go around the back of the implement and I lift it up and onto the pins. It's because the implement wasn't reasonably level. So the quick hitch couldn't grab it properly. So the one thing you will learn as a new tractor owner is the learning never stops. There's always new things to learn as you're trying to adapt and understand how to operate your tractor. If I'd known 4 years ago what I now know, this is probably what I would have done. When I bought the tractor, or I was starting to look at different new implements or attachments for the tractor, I would always buy a quick hitch compatible attachment. I'm pretty sure just about anything you want to buy these days, somebody makes quick hitch compatible. And I'd get a quick hitch. I wouldn't buy the universal standard one. I'd buy a non-standard hitch, one where I don't have to put bushings in all of my equipment. If I was in a similar position to what I am now and I was considering a quick hitch, where I've already got 4 or 5 or 6 different implements or attachments for the back of the tractor, I'd grab a pad of paper and I'd grab my tape measure. I'd take a look at one of those diagrams for the Cat 1 dimensions on a quick hitch, and I'd write down each implement and I would take the corresponding measurements on those implements or those attachments and check them against the quick hitch standard. Because at the end of the day, if I've got 6 pieces of equipment and I can only use it on 2, the value of spending that money may not make sense. So hey, over the last few weeks, did a lot of research and I came across a lot of very interesting things. And I wanted to share this one story with you because I actually didn't know. But for those of you that don't know, a long time ago, tractors actually didn't have a 3-point hitch. And I mean a long time ago. Farmers basically pulled their tillage or their cultivators or their equipment on the back of the tractor, and for lack of better words, they towed them. There was like a drawbar on the back of the tractor. I never knew this. So one of the big issues facing farmers and agriculturalists at the time was the tractor would constantly get bogged down because there was no weight on the back tires. They had very little traction. So when they're pulling their tillers or any other type of equipment through the dirt or through the acreage, the tractors eventually would start bogging down and the tires would spin because they couldn't get enough traction to pull all of that force behind them. Eventually, this gentleman designed the 3-point hitch for the tractor. What I didn't know about the 3-point hitch is it's designed in such a manner that when you're pulling an earth contacting piece of equipment, the 3-point hitch actually draws down on the back axle of the tractor, providing better traction. I didn't know that. So this gentleman named Ferguson designed a 3-point hitch. He eventually got together with another guy named Ford. And shortly thereafter, the Ford 9N was, according to what I've read, the first tractor in the world that was sold with a 3-point hitch. Ford put a patent in on the 3-point hitch. And of course, other tractor manufacturers started putting their own 3-point hitches in. They couldn't defend the patent, so they started designing similar but different 3-point hitches for their tractors because they couldn't duplicate it. Eventually, Ferguson and Ford split up, and Ferguson got together with a guy named Massey. And at some point thereafter, fast forward, the patent expired on that 3-point hitch. And Ford apparently fought to try to extend the patent, but it was eventually denied or dismissed by the court. The reason cited by the court for why they denied the patent extension was because they felt it was of an incredible benefit to the agricultural community, and that no one person or one company should have a monopoly on it. And of course, now we have standards for 3-point hitches, different categories, as well as standards for so many other things in the tractor industry. I hope you found today's video of value. If you like the channel, please click subscribe, hit the like button, and if you want to know when I'm posting videos, just click that little bell. Have a wonderful and safe week with your families. Please be kind, and I'll see you again on the next one. Cheers.